Nothing is more exciting than a supercross race. 20 riders on the start line. 20 riders with a single thought of winning the race.
Get to the corner first. That's all I think about. I don't hear the crowd. I don't even think I even notice the rider next to me. I basically lose all track of time. I try to concentrate on the starter. When he turns that 30-second board sideways, man, everything from that point on is instinct. Sometimes I think I can sense when the gate is going to fall. But all I know is when it does, I want to be the first one out of it. You know, the rider that gets the hole shot has got the best chance of getting the lead. And if you can get around all those crashes and all the guys falling, then, you know, you're just one step ahead of the game. And your chance of being a champ are that much greater. And being a champ is what it's all about. The #1 plate, the money, the prestige. You just twist the throttle and go for the gold.
The events of the 1990 Camel Supercross Series reveal stories of the lives and dreams of a special breed of super athletes. Some winning, some losing. But all are Supercross superstars that throttle for the gold. The 1990 Camel Supercross Series began in Anaheim, California, crisscrossing the country several times. A tour of non-stop racing action that spread excitement from coast to coast. Playing to huge crowds in venues that included Las Vegas, the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington, the Astrodome in Houston, Giant Stadium in New Jersey, and the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. The series visited the state of Florida twice and journeyed as far north as Foxborough Stadium in Massachusetts. A spectacular supercross tour through America. The stadiums are transformed into amphitheaters with technically designed stages molded from 16 million pounds of dirt. Treacherous deep ditches, fast high bank corners, and jumps that launch riders more than 80 feet in the air are supercross racetrack standards. They challenge the athlete to excel against not only his opponents, but also against his environment. The actors on this stage look like armored knights readied for battle. These men are some of the most talented, physically fit athletes in the world. Supercross is truly a unique sport, a combination of a rider and a motorcycle on a grueling racetrack at speeds considered unsafe by normal people in normal conditions. But Supercross athletes are anything but normal. The sport of Supercross demands an athlete cut from a different mold. An athlete that must be willing to put in thousands of long hours of practice on top of a hard-hitting, high-powered machine. He must be willing to accept the hours of painful lessons that both the bike and the course will teach him. Lessons that become brutally important in the heat of the race. For an amateur seeking a professional career, training begins at an early age. For riders like champion Jeff Stanton, this means long days were spent at the track while friends were playing baseball in neighborhood parks.
Well, you feel like you get robbed of some of that. Been involved with motorcycles, like you say, basically all my life since I was 5 years old. You know, I missed out on the softball games when I was a little kid, and the football and the basketball. But after you're sitting back, you know, I wouldn't change it for anything. I've had a lot of fun in all my racing career, and I still have a long ways to go. But you know, you meet a lot of new faces, you know, each week traveling, and the experiences you get traveling, you know, across the country. And you know, I try to spend as much time with my family as I can on the weekdays. So I still have much of a family life, very involved with my family. So, you know, I'm not robbed of any family life. It's just all the little extracurricular activities that I missed when I was little. But like I said, I wouldn't change them for nothing after it's all said and done.
The path to the winner's circle is torturous. It is full of risks and offers no guarantees. The hours devoted to learning the sport, off-track practice and racing all come together to build an experienced racer. As his track wins increase, sponsorships become easier to find. When sponsors provide money, a successful rider can be catapulted from the amateur ranks of the weekend rider to the professional level of national competition. At the beginning of the 1990 series, it was anticipated that one of the older superstars would lay claim to the crown. Even though their chronological hourglass was running out, these veterans were going for the gold one more time. Supercross is a young man's game. These old pros know this year could be their last year of competition, and none of them are willing to go quietly into the night. Most veteran riders progress to professional status with world-famous teams. Jeff Ward and Johnny O'Mara are teammates on Kawasaki. Jeff Stanton and Rick Johnson represent Honda. Rick Johnson, number 13, with 28 wins and 2 Supercross championships to his credit, approached the 1990 season on the comeback trail. After winning the first 5 events in 1989, Johnson was injured and out for the rest of the season. Could Johnson recapture the magic that had made him the greatest Supercross rider in history? Jeff Ward, number 3, another past master with 2 championships, was coming off a less than successful 1989 season. He was competent, in shape, and ready to fight the odds for the championship. The defending champion, Jeff Stanton, number 1, had won the Supercross Series number 1 plate in 1989, and he was back to win again in 1990. Other veterans like 28-year-old Guy Cooper, number 4 from Oklahoma, doesn't have too many years left to win the number 1 plate. He has come so close to winning in past seasons. 1990 could be his year. Johnny O'Mara, number 9, won the championship in 1984, but had not recorded a win since 1985. Amidst rumors of retirement, O'Mara, riding for a new team, was in search of the fire that had once made him king.
Kawasaki gave me that chance to pretty much kind of redeem myself. The last few years had some injuries and wasn't real happy with what I was doing, so this kind of brightens everything up for me, and I'm on a real motivated team. They want to win, and I think at this point that's what I needed to give me that little kick in the butt to win some races and have a good chance to win a championship.
Their arch rivals are the new kids on the block, the rookies that bring with them new techniques and new skills that defy the familiar ground rules. With their jackhammer maneuvers, these novices chisel out superior track records, causing havoc among their seasoned competitors. 17-year-old Damon Bradshaw is Team Yamaha's newest star and one of the youngest riders on the circuit. In his first full year as a pro, Bradshaw earned the 125cc Eastern Regional Supercross Championship. His counterpart on the junior 125cc circuit is Kawasaki's Jeff Matasevich, the 1989 Western Regional winner. Suzuki and Honda also hired top rookie riders to campaign the 1990 series. Mike Kidrowski, an outdoor national champion, would ride for Team Honda, while Larry Ward, a former Honda rider, and Mike LaRocco, who received his training on a Yamaha, would now ride for Team Suzuki.
Us just coming up, we're a little more aggressive, we're a little more hungry. We're the older guys, they've been in it a while, and I'm not saying they're getting burnt out, but I think we're just willing to try new and different things.
Motivation to race is measured by personal convictions. Some seek fame and fortune, while others ride for the pure love of the sport. Two-time motocross world champion, number 22 Jean-Michel Bayle from Manosque, France, turned his back on money-making European motocross events and chose to come to the U.S. to carve himself a place of recognition amongst the best riders in the world, the American Supercross stars.
Yeah, I want to come in United States because I win not everything, but maybe almost everything in Europe. And every time the American rider come in Europe, he win. And I want to come in United States for progress and try to win.
As the season got underway, this group of rookies, led by Team Yamaha's number 8, Damon Bradshaw, and Kawasaki's number 20, Jeff Matasevich, swept the opening round in Anaheim, and the pace for the 1990 series was established. Races would be not won merely by reputations or past accomplishments, nor would they be casually conquered by the newcomers. A battle between the traditional experience of the veterans and fearless youthfulness of the rookies was a scrappy, hard-riding race to the very last lap of the series. As the series moved to race 2 in Houston, Texas, the onslaught of the rookies continued. For the second time, number 8, Damon Bradshaw, led the way with fearless riding. Like this pass on number 9, Johnny O'Mara, that carried Bradshaw into second place. Near the midpoint, Bradshaw caught and passed another rookie, the leader, number 17, Larry Ward. Bradshaw, at 17 years of age, had turned in flawless back-to-back performances. No rider his age had ever performed to this level. The veterans, meanwhile, were struggling. Defending champion number 1, Jeff Stanton, was never a factor, and he finished 5th. Number 3, Jeff Ward, did not do nearly as well. After crashing hard, the two-time former champion finished 12th. Number 9, Johnny O'Mara, collected a 3rd-place finish, but later stated he had a long way to go to be competitive. Number 13, Rick Johnson, finished 15th. It was apparent to all who had seen Johnson at the peak of his career that the Honda star was laboring with an old injury.
Well, the problem was last week on Wednesday, I went to see a doctor in California, in San Diego, who was one of the wrist specialists, and he told me that his words were my wrist was trash and that just damaging it worse, that probably the only way to make it feel any better was to fuse it. And with that thought in mind, I thought, I'm not going to be like, it's not going to get any better. I'm not going to be able to win races, that I might as well retire. And that evening, I was planning on retiring, but I went and seen Dr. Kiefer in Wyoming, and he gave me a lot of hope and told me that there's things that we can do to rejuvenate it, and that not to worry, but somewhere down the road I'm going to have to go for reconstructive surgery, maybe fuse it, maybe something else, but right now there's nothing I can do to help it, just keep stretching it and taking some anti-inflammatories to keep it from swelling up, but I'm not going to retire because I got too many things I needed to do.
At round 4 in the Seattle Kingdom, number 13, Rick Johnson, looked stronger as he recorded an 8th-place finish. His riding style had improved. He had become leaner and hungrier for a win. He was starting to look like the Rick Johnson of old. For his efforts, the one-time Supercross king turned in a solid 3rd place, his best finish of the year. Johnson continued his aggressive tactics around 5 at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. He battled against 8 riders for the win in a race that has been called the best race in Supercross history. There were 5 different leaders and 8 lead changes during that race, with Rick Johnson smack in the middle. From the opening lap to the end, Johnson battled against the pack. At the checkered flag, he closed the race with a well-earned 3rd place. Despite not winning, Johnson claimed that Atlanta was as sweet as any victory in his career. At round 6, Johnson's drive for the series ended in abrupt tragedy. During the Daytona race, the Team Honda star crashed and flew bodily over the handlebars while attempting to pass Jeff Ward. The resulting impact with the solid earth crushed the bones in Johnson's hand. For him, the race and the season had come to a frustrating end. The misfortunes that tormented the veterans did not affect the rookies. They began to stuff more victories under their belts and became more confident.
You know, every 5 years or so, it seems like a new generation comes through the sport, and I think it's definitely coming through now.
I'm a little bit surprised, but you know, I knew I could do it after I'd say practice of the first race. I knew I could win, and I just been shooting for the win every week, and my goal is to finish in the top 3 every weekend.
Round 3 of the 1990 Supercross War started in Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, California. This race started with another Bradshaw and Matasevich confrontation. The two rookies, caught up in their own personal vendetta, left the pack far behind. Using every inch of track and every trick of the trade, they fought for that edge of victory. Finally, young Bradshaw began to pull away. It looked like his name was going to grace the winner's rostrum once again. Suddenly, it all came crashing down. The 17-year-old Yamaha star landed short on a huge tabletop jump. On impact, his ankle was caught between the foot peg and the shift lever, savagely wrenching his foot. Bradshaw remounted his bike. Intense pain showed in his cautious and conservative motions as he fought to get the bike moving. He had to pull off moments later. The pain was just too much to continue the race. Bradshaw would ride the next 3 events of the series, hoping to score some points to stay in the championship chase. But at each event, his injury would become progressively more debilitating. Yamaha's team manager, Keith McCarty, reluctantly took action.
Yeah, we just found out that he had a small crack in his foot. They've taken 3 sets of x-rays, and all those showed up negative, and he had a test done after we asked him to just stay home and let's get this thing healed up, and it was a bone scan that showed a small crack in the bone in his foot. So he's in a cast from his knee down, and the doctors told him that about 10 days would really help, immobilization would help it heal up.
For Bradshaw, the chase for the gold had come to a screeching halt. The North Carolina rider missed the next 2 rounds of the series, destroying any chance he might have had to capture the title. For the rest of the field, the chase had just begun. At San Diego, after Bradshaw's crash, the points battle between the veterans and the rookies started to heat up. Defending champion Jeff Stanton took the win and the series points lead. But at round 4 in the Seattle Kingdom, the rookies came back with a vengeance in what was hailed as one of the most thrilling races of the season. The race boiled down to a nasty barroom brawl as number 20, Jeff Matasevich, jumped out in front. Close behind him was rookie number 17, Larry Ward, a local boy and favored at the Kingdom. The crowd went wild as Ward made a pass that seemed to mark the beginning of a duel between the 2 riders. At the next corner, Matasevich attempted to block Ward, but the Suzuki rider was able to slip by on the inside. Side by side, the pair rode the roughest part of the track, neither giving nor taking ground. The race was momentarily forgotten as Ward and Matasevich, caught up in the heat of the battle, fought for survival. After several exhausting laps, Larry Ward was able to pass and fend off the attacking Matasevich, taking the lead. The checkered flag was out as the Snohomish Washington rider crossed the line. The crowd went into a frenzy as their young local hero took a hard-earned victory lap. At the Kingdome, Matasevich claimed second place. This pushed the Kawasaki rider out ahead as he became the second rookie to control the championship points lead. With a win in Washington, Larry Ward moved into second, pushing Stanton down to third. In just 4 events, the rookies had dominated the series. In Atlanta, round 5, the entire pack mimicked the style introduced by the rookies. It was a hard-hitting, powerful style that left the surviving riders in the dust. In a sport that is considered one of the toughest, it was now even tougher. The emotions ran hot as former Supercross champion number 9, Johnny O'Mara, bolted out to an early lead. Then Damon Bradshaw, broken foot and all, charged ahead to steal the lead from O'Mara. Following close behind Bradshaw were the other riders, willing to risk whatever the cost victory might demand. Stanton, Johnson, Matasevich, and Cooper chased the 2 front runners with a vengeance. It was veteran Jeff Stanton that made the first mistake and became a casualty in the Atlanta battle. Guy Cooper, looking for his first win, found a break in the line and dashed along the inside to take the lead. Cooper stalled his bike and dropped to 4th, shoving Bradshaw back into the lead. But rookie Mike Kwiatkowski, trying to pass Bradshaw, lost control and took Bradshaw out with him. With Bradshaw out of the way, Cooper jumped into first place, screaming down the track with the throttle wide open. Lap after lap, the excitement began to build. With just 4 laps to go, Rick Johnson, riding his best race of the season, captured the lead from Cooper. Cooper responded by picking up the pace and taking over lead position. As the second to the last lap approached, Jeff Ward, who'd been riding slightly off pace, reached into himself and shot into second place, displacing Johnson. At the start of the final lap, the crowd could sense victory. Johnson was trying to catch up as Cooper fended off Ward's attacks for the lead position. In the last 100 yards, Ward proved what it is to be a Supercross champion. With an incredible display of sheer athletic ability, Jeff Ward passed Cooper to take the checkered flag. The crowd flew into a rage as they witnessed the end of one of the most spectacular races in the history of Supercross. Daytona was next, and again the veteran stole the show. Jeff Stanton edged closer to the rookies in the point standings. Las Vegas, the City of Lights, hosted the next race in the series. There, Jeff Matasevich, the series leader, took his first win of the season. But even more significant was the European star, Jean-Michel Bayle, as a contender for the series title. At the beginning of the season, little was known about this formidable European racer. He was a 2-time motocross world champion, but most experts felt that his smooth riding style would work against him in the harsh reality of the Supercross arena. From the outset, though, Bayle made it clear that he was in the United States to win. At the first event in Anaheim, Bayle rode from the back of the pack to finish second. An elbow injury sustained in Houston kept the rider out of the series for the following 2 rounds. But since returning to the series, the rider from France was the most consistent rider on the circuit. For the first time in 15 years, a European rider was in contention for the Supercross crown. Battle lines were redrawn as the power structure was formed. It was now a 3-way war. The rookies, with points leader Jeff Matasevich at the front, against the veterans led by defending champion Jeff Stanton and the European contingent, Jean-Michel Bayle. The fight for the title was heating up. Round 8 was held in picturesque Pasadena, California. Jeff Ward claimed his second win of the season, with teammate Jeff Matasevich in second. Jean-Michel Bayle rounded out the top 3. From California, the series moved to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. This event marked the midway point in the season, with 9 races to go. This was the first race with Damon Bradshaw back on the track after his injuries. Using his characteristic out-of-control riding style, the 17-year-old rider became earmarked as the one to beat.
Well, I think, you know, every rider that's out there wants to win, but it's a matter of how bad they want to win and how mean they're going to be. And right now, you know, I'm going to be as mean as I can because, like I said, I want to win, and it's going to be tough because those other guys are out there fighting for the points lead, and, you know, I'm just in there to screw their points up, really. But I'm going to win, and, you know, that's the most important thing for me tonight.
Early in the points race for the title, Bradshaw held off the charges of Jeff Ward and Jean-Michel Bayle, but Bayle was beginning to make a stab at the title. At Dallas, the 22-year-old took the checkered flag. After sitting out 2 rounds because of his elbow injury, Bayle was in 4th place in the standings and a serious threat for the title. He was only 10 points away from 3rd, 12 out of 2nd, and only 26 points separated the Frenchman from the championship leader, Jeff Matasevich. 9 events down and 9 to go. The series had reached the midway point, and the champion was no closer to being determined than at the drop of the gate at the Anaheim opener. The long series, though, was beginning to take its toll on riders and their mechanics. The long road between races seemed to accentuate the regimentation of their solitary lifestyle.
Life on the road, you know, it's hard. You know, you're going from place to place, week after week. You come into a town, you know, you look for basically, first thing I do when I pull into town, look for a laundromat, a car wash, and a place to eat. And, you know, basically those are the 3 things. You're working out of a hotel every week. Which really isn't, you know, it's not that bad depending on how your rider performs. My attitude has a lot to do with the reflection on how we do that previous week. My job, for me, is almost like a roller coaster. It has ups and downs. When Jeff's doing great, I'm doing great, the world's great, nothing could be better, my personal life's great.
Between races, motorcycles are completely disassembled. Each part is cleaned, carefully examined, meticulously returned to its proper place. Compounding the problem is the distance between events. Round 4 in Seattle and round 5 in Atlanta were separated by 2,700 miles of lonely pavement.
The mechanic's got to drive to each race, then tear the bike completely down to nothing and start over and rebuild it. And it's got to stay together for the weekend. So there's a lot of pressure on the mechanics. I think I'd rather be the rider, to tell you the truth, because, you know, if a rider falls, you know, riders are going to fall. But if a bike breaks, the bikes aren't supposed to break. So I'd rather be in driving the thing or riding it than turning the wrenches on it, that's for sure.
Turning wrenches and driving from city to city gives the mechanics a full schedule of responsibilities between races. But for the riders, time seems to stand still. They look for diversion, for their idle hands and idle minds away from the track.
Well, I do lots of things. You know, I spend time with my family. That's the most fun. You know, my brothers and my parents and just all the people that I have around here. You know, I do a majority of things. I like to play with basketball with all my friends and go out and go hunting, you know, do a little bit of fishing, water skiing, jet skiing, shooting a little trap. You know, just a majority of things. I like to go out and, you know, do some training. You know, so that's fun for me. Go out and go rollerblading or running or bicycling. And spend time with my family is probably the biggest thing that's the most relaxing for me and is enjoyable.
Dedicated riders treasure those hours of rest and relaxation. But the high-pressured world of professional supercross demands the need for strenuous daily workouts. A constant reminder of the next race, their opponents, and ultimately the championship. As the season moved into the second half, the pressure began to heat up. Small mistakes could carry big penalties. The experience of the old pros was constantly being challenged by the never-tiring endurance of the young rookies. Rounds 10 and 11 were fought in the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. Jeff Stanton, raised in nearby Sherwood, Michigan, hoped to repeat Larry Ward's hometown win in Seattle. The wins at the Silverdome, though, were split between Bayle and Bradshaw, and the best that Stanton could manage was to place 6th and 10th. Yet, despite the less than spectacular showing, these finishes were enough to move the Michigan rider to second place in the standings, a slim 8 points behind Jeff Matiasevich. After Michigan, the series moved to warm Tampa, Florida. There, Bale achieved his second win of the season, with Matiasevich taking second and Stanton third. Time was running out for the riders. With just 6 events remaining, points became a precious commodity. Over the course of the series, several riders appeared to be prospects for the title. Johnny O'Mara, the 1984 Supercross champion, looked like a possible champion again. But those moments were few and far between. The physical style of riding this year's rookies had brought to the series seemed to crush O'Mara's confidence. Another race veteran, number 4, Guy Cooper, also had his problems. At Pasadena, Cooper tangled with another rider on the opening lap, giving him an 11th place finish. The Pontiac race was a mirror image of Pasadena for Cooper. This time, the collision shoved him back into a 12th place finish. Yet no rider had ups and downs like those of Jeff Ward. For the 2-time Supercross champ, one of the picks to win it all, this season had been one of extremes. Like sitting on a runaway roller coaster, Ward's riding had the ups of incredible athletic performance and the downs of disaster and mayhem. For example, at the Houston race, the Kawasaki rider landed on top of Doug Dubach. The next week at San Diego, while in control of the second spot, Ward lost it in a string of vicious moguls, pushing him back to a disappointing finish. In Las Vegas, Ward collided with Suzuki teammates Ron Tishner and Mike LaRocco in the first corner. At Dallas, a judgment error during a jump caused the racer to fall short, again setting Jeff Ward further back at the finish. To top off the string of disasters, in Charlotte, North Carolina, Ward crashed late in the race, dumping the third spot that he had so carefully maintained. For the most part, the 29-year-old Ward was as fast or faster than anyone on the track. Yet, errors plagued Ward like cancer, preventing any serious thrust for the series title. For Ward, O'Mara, and Cooper, the 1990 season proved to be a disappointing one. The rookies differed from the veterans like night differs from day. At Charlotte, number 8, Damon Bradshaw picked up the battle standard for the rookies and met Supercross champion Jeff Stanton in a classic duel. Stanton and Bradshaw paired off in the first lap and traded positions throughout the race. The Charlotte crowd was deafening, roaring approval for Bradshaw, the local rookie.
Well, everybody wants to win, and so do I tonight. I think I want to win a little worse than anybody else because it's in my hometown, and I think it's going to be to my advantage. It's going to be the hometown crowd, and I think the crowd's going to be behind me tonight, and I think that's going to help me win.
The European veteran, Jean-Michel Bale, had fought his way back into the race for the number 1 plate. Even though he did not finish at Charlotte or in 2 previous races, Bale walked away from Charlotte in a hard-earned 4th place. 32 points from the leader. Bradshaw took the Charlotte race hands down, as followed by Mike LaRocco in second, Stanton in third, and Matiasevich closing the front 4. For the second time in the series, the race had been won by the hometown favorite. Since round 4 at the Kingdome in Seattle, number 20, Jeff Matasevich, was riding high as the points leader. As the season progressed, though, the aggressive riding style that gained him the leader's position slowly evolved into something more conservative. The 20-year-old from California was riding to protect his lead rather than charging through the races with victory on his mind. Matasevich's mellow riding style gave Jeff Stanton the necessary time to whittle down the lead to a narrow 8 points with 5 rounds left to go. As a result, for the first time since the start of the series, a veteran was favored over the rookies.
Well, there's a little saying, it's hard to get there, but it's twice as hard to stay there. It's definitely a lot harder this year. Last year it was a piece of cake compared to this year. When you're behind going for the lead, it's tough, and I've been working hard, and I deserve it just as much as the next person.
I'm not even worried about it. Points are nothing to me right now. I come in here and just racing as hard and fast as I can.
As round 14 started in New York, the point leaders, Matasevich and Stanton, raced each other for 4th place. Protection of their leader was paramount. Winning the race was secondary. Both riders were not willing to risk a mistake that might lead to tragedy. Number 22, Jean-Michel Bayle, in contrast to the leaders, threw caution to the wind in a desperate attempt to position himself to take the series title. This aggressive riding style allowed Bayle to take the win. The French rider was launching another charge for the gold. If Matasevich and Stanton continued to protect their lead, Bayle would have a chance. Round 15 in Foxborough, Massachusetts, was more of the same. The red-hot Frenchman took the early lead and ran from the field. For Bayle, it was victory number 5 in the last 7 events. More importantly, the points deficit for Bayle was now down to 9. The point leaders, Stanton and Matasevich, finished 4th and 9th, respectively. Performances turned in by these riders were reflected in the reaction of their mechanics. Now the series moved to the state of Oklahoma. 1 point separated Jeff Matasevich and Jeff Stanton. Bayle was 3rd. Larry Ward, the rookie that won in Seattle, was in 4th place, just 20 points behind. With 3 events remaining, the championship would be decided by those 4 riders. The Supercross Series championship is worth millions of dollars in prize money, bonuses, and contracts. The pressure weighed heavy on the shoulders of the riders and their teams.
I try not to do anything differently on the motorcycle. I try to check over everything as usual, and I try not to put any added pressure on myself, and in that case, try not to make a mistake.
There's really not a whole lot to really say to him right now because the pressure's on him too as much as it's on me. I just look at him and I just say, we're going to take it one race at a time and hope for the best.
Well, when you go down to the last 3 races and the point we've come to in the series, you got to take each race, a race at a time. We're just looking at it as a 3-race series, that's it. That's all there is to it. You say everything you can to try to keep him calm. He's a rookie. It's his first year on the championship series. It's a lot to go up against a world champion, a national, a supercross champion. They've got a little bit more experience under their belts, so, it's not really in our favor.
It is now near the close of the season. All of the riders are beginning to feel the pressure of the precious few races remaining in the 1990 Championship Series. Rough riding became commonplace. Riders were cautioned, even threatened with severe fines. But the series title was on the line, and the riders were prepared to pay the price. Aspirations and dreams centered on winning at any cost.
As far as the fines go, I'll pay all the fines I have to. If I see an inch, I'm going to take it. I'm not going to deliberately try to break somebody's leg or knock somebody down, but if I see an inch, I'll take it to get by.
Hopefully it won't get too physical. I like to see a lot of good, clean racing, but I'm just as physical as the next person, and I'm going to do whatever it's going to take to go out there and win.
Round 16 was under a blazing sun at the Oklahoma State Fairgrounds, with a temperature close to 100 degrees. The track, baked rock solid, was the toughest the riders would face all year. Guy Cooper, rider number 4, no longer a factor in the chase for the number 1 plate, was from nearby Stillwater. The stage was set for another hometown favorite to win, and Guy Cooper was up to the task. So too were Bale number 22 and Stanton number 1. The extreme heat and difficult track conditions took its toll. The battle for the championship and the Oklahoma win narrowed to a Bale-Stanton confrontation as Cooper, perhaps trying too hard, crashed out of contention. Matasevich, with a poor start, rode through the pack. He would end up 4th. At the checkered flag, Stanton proved to have a sharper edge and finished the race at the head of the pack. Bale claimed the number 2 position, and Matasevich took 4th. Larry Ward, a threat at the start, fell victim to circumstances and only managed a 17th place finish. 11 points now separated Stanton, Matasevich, and Bale. 2 races remained. The number 1 plate was by no means decided, as the series was still anybody's conquest. In San Jose, Jeff Stanton felt the squeeze of the other riders. Coming off a win in Oklahoma, he knew that he would have to ride harder and faster, as desperation had pushed the other riders into a frenzy. As the race began, the riders jockeyed for position. A bad call or miscalculation could prove fatal. Stanton and Ward leaped to the head of the pack in precision riding, signifying the mark of true professionals. Matasevich and Bale chased them in a desperate attempt to take the lead. Yet Stanton, a race veteran, was able to keep them at bay. Jeff Stanton crossed the finish line first, with Bale following in a close second. For Matasevich, the race ended his run for the gold with a 10th place finish. Disappointed, Matasevich was no longer a serious threat for the championship, but he knew there would always be next year. The majestic Los Angeles Coliseum was host to the last race in the series. Jeff Stanton needed only to finish 9th, and the title was his. The scenario called for extreme caution, but at the outset, Stanton was up front, riding as hard and as fast as he had all season, but he could not hold off Bradshaw's charge. With nothing to lose, the teenager desperately wanted to end the season the way he started, with a win. The most exciting ride of the season finale, though, was reserved for Bale. To have any chance at the title, he needed the win. From out of the pack, the French challenger charged to the front. Stanton felt the pressure and slowed his pace. By the time Bale caught Bradshaw, Stanton was all the way back in 6th place. The championship chase was going to the wire. For several laps, Bale stalked Bradshaw, looking for a place to pass. Each time he threatened, Bradshaw turned the throttle a little harder. On the last lap, Bale made his move. The pass was made, but Bale failed to close the door. Bradshaw put his wheel inside and moved Bale out of the line to regain the number 1 spot. That, in effect, was the end of the season, although Bradshaw kept the issue in doubt right up to the checkered flag. For the rookie, it was win number 5 of the series. For Stanton, who finished 6th, it was the title, the number 1 plate, and the gold. The close of the 1990 Camel Supercross season will record the old pro, Jeff Stanton, as the series winner over Jean-Michel Bale, the elegant European star. The young rookies must wait until next year. The emotional defeats and the disappointing losses, however, will soon be forgotten, replaced with hopes and dreams of another race, another season, another championship. With the end of the 1990 series, plans for next year have already begun, when once again, these Supercross superstar athletes will throttle for the gold.